Stan Franklin, your media literacy guy. Listen, Wendy Williams' guardianship just got extended until November 5th. Despite the fact that she's claimed that she's capable and competent and doesn't need a guardianship. Let's break down what's happened and what the future may look like for Wendy without all of the spin, all of the gossip, just facts, and a little bit of my opinion. Make sure that you like and subscribe this video while you're at it. Let's talk about Wendy Williams. Her guardianship just got extended until November 5th. However, Wendy Williams claims that she is competent. Let's talk about what happened and what's probably gonna come in the future. Let's talk about it. So here are the facts. Wendy Williams is currently under a guardianship that was initiated in May of 2022 over her health as well as finances. So of course we're gonna cite our sources. This is what makes what I report different from a lot of other people. I'm not just gonna report what I think or what I've heard. I'm gonna report from reliable sources as well as cite them. So People magazine as well as TMZ have confirmed the following. And so I'm gonna read this to you. And it's just a brief description of what was reported. So Wendy Williams is currently under a legal guardianship that was initiated May 2022 over health and finances, okay? A new medical evaluation involving brain imagery as well as neurological tests reaffirmed the diagnosis of frontoaphasia, that, the initial diagnosis that was reported a while back. Also, as a result of those tests, the guardian requested and the courts approved an extension for her guardianship through November 5th, 2025. So that's currently where we are. I will say from a personal perspective, we are only knowing this because someone is reporting this, these medical documents or things to these news sites. It is a little tricky that at the timing of when these are coming out, there's no one that we can point to. Wendy Williams' guardian is not speaking out, and Wendy Williams has not spoken out. No real representative. So the question is, who are they talking to that they're getting these reports from allegedly? I'm not saying that they're not getting them, but the question is, where are they getting this from? And I'm not saying that to create any conspiracy theorists. There's just someone that's working with Wendy Williams that is going behind the scenes and feeding this information. And my question would be, what is the motive of that? Because in other situations, they're tight-lipped about things, but they want to, come out and disclose certain information. Does that make sense to you? There's a bit of a it's not adding up to, or it leaves someone to think like, what's the intention? Why are you doing that? Why is it that in some areas you don't want to talk or we don't know what's going on, but in certain areas you are speaking? And about her medical information, I mean, to me, that is very personal and should be, a conversation that Wendy's having with her loved ones and with the quote unquote guardianship, and that's it. So I just think there could be some play or into creating a perception by in which the way they're handling it. Not saying that, she's not diagnosed or anything like that, allegedly. I'm just saying the way in which the inconsistencies is a bit tricky and a bit weird. I gotta be honest. So Wendy's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, has publicly denounced the diagnosis by stating it's false and questioning who benefits from her being diagnosed with aphasia, and even it being brought out publicly, and he is demanding proof as well as transparency. What I'll say based off what I've reviewed, a lot of the reports are coming from news sources through a source. And so that is a little strange. We haven't had anyone in Wendy's camp confirm these diagnoses. They've heard that she was diagnosed with this, but none of them have talked to the physician about how they came to that conclusion. So he's calling that out. In addition, he's previously vowed to sue those responsible for initiating this guardianship, as well as calling it despicably slow in terms of how they've handled it and now how they've handled Wendy. So there we have it. So this is my honest opinion about the Wendy Williams situation. So, I really feel for Wendy. I used to watch her, and I had a love-hate relationship with Wendy because sometimes she would just talk about things and I was like, it was clear she didn't know what she was talking about. And I didn't know if it was, her intentionally misleading her audience with, some of the salacious things she would say, or if she was just entertaining, or she just didn't know and was sharing what she thought was the truth. But I learned to love her and really enjoy her show and see it as entertainment, and not as she's reporting facts. She's reporting, clickbait or headlines and giving her opinion on them. And I want to clarify that's what I'm doing right now. The other part was really based off the actual legal documents that we have access to, and also the reports from TMZ as well as People magazine. But I really could see a path for Wendy to have more autonomy and have people around her that she can trust who are either overseeing her guardianship or having her family take care of her in a way that it honors and respects her, and that she can still have her autonomy and not feel like she is being victimized by people that are supposed to be there to protect her. Whether it is the guardianship, which there's a lot of concern about how this has been handled. And I mean, it's just very obvious they are, trying to control a narrative, and the mere fact that that's what people are left with leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, including mine. And then also, you have Kevin, and although Kevin has been instrumental in her career and supporting her, what's Kevin's motive? Is he the right person that should be involved, given their history and given his character? There's been these reports about her son allegedly. Is there someone in her family that will handle this the right way? I hope so. And that's what I hope will be the outcome, because Wendy definitely needs support. I also think she's going to have to focus on her sobriety. So she's not back in this situation, or it doesn't progress, or any issues due to her alcoholism allegedly don't progress. And that's my opinion, honestly. So what's next? So Kevin Hunter has filed a federal lawsuit seeking a new guardianship, a financial audit, which I think she needs, a jury trial, and $250 million in damages. So we'll see where that goes, if there's any movement or with that. Also, Wendy's attorneys, there's a lot going on here, but these are each thing that is, ongoing. So Wendy's attorneys are pushing to pause the A&E litigation until the guardianship is resolved. So we'll see how that goes. Also, I could see Wendy being free or having new parameters around her current guardianship, where she has more autonomy, or even being free from a guardianship. I mean, what it looks like is when we see Wendy, we don't see her progressing at the rate in which someone with aphasia, and I'm not a medical doctor, however, I've researched aphasia, and we don't see her progressing. I've also had relatives with dementia, and so we don't see her progressing in that direction. So she could have been mixed diagnosed. This is alleged. She could not have gotten the right diagnosis. Listen, I have been told I've had things that I found out after getting second opinion that even if there were similar symptoms, it wasn't what the initial doctor thought it was. And sometimes they'll see symptoms, but those symptoms could be an impact of something else. So I'm not saying that she doesn't have aphasia, but I'm also not saying she does have aphasia. Let me be clear. And of course, this is all alleged because I'm not in Wendy Williams' camp. Also, I really think it's weird, and I've talked about this already, but being an HR professional, I think it's weird that her medical information comes out at these strategic times. There's times where they don't want to give out information, and then all of a sudden they want to. I think there's something to that. There might be I believe someone is trying to control a narrative, and it is not in Wendy's favor. It is to distract or take away from Wendy's credibility, and that's concerning because that is inconsistent. On one hand, they don't want her talking to the media, spending time with her family, and then on the other hand, they're releasing medical information. It's all over the place, and that's odd. And yeah, I think there's something to that, in my personal opinion. Of course, this is all alleged. Thank you. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Let's get a discussion going. So what do you think about Wendy Williams' attorneys? Should they come first? Should their arguments be the priority, or should the courts err on caution? I definitely want to hear from you. And also the whispers about why this information is out there. Why do you think that we are hearing medical terminologies or medical information that we normally wouldn't have access to? Is there a reason that you think that we're hearing this? I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. This is Verified by Dan Franklin, making sure that I bring clarity, compassion, as well as context to pop culture news. The channel is constantly growing, so make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to provide you with the latest news that is verified, not clickbait. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.